Hello and welcome back to Hestia's Muse, podcast for astrological devotionals. My name is Liliana Blackstar, and I am here to bring you a spiritual devotional of self-discovery and personal growth that is in some way inspired by astrology. Join me to tune into astrological transits and the Wheel of the Year for inspiration in your greatest task in life, to know yourself. Hello, I am so excited to talk about another tarot card and more astrology with you this week. We are going to talk about the Six of Cups. So whether you are new here or whether you've tuned in before, welcome. I am here to talk about how some tarot cards are associated with certain things in astrology and how you can use that astrology to understand the card better, how you can use the card to understand astrology better, and how you can use both to understand yourself a little better. So each of the tarot cards are in some way associated with an astrological sign, a decan, a season, or a planet. The Six of Cups is associated with the second decan of Scorpio. So decans are subdivisions of signs. Each sign is divided into three parts, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and each of those are 10 degrees long. The first decan is from 0 through 9 degrees, and the second decan is from 10 degrees through the end of the 19th degree. This second decan, or the middle decan, is subruled by the sun. So each sign is ruled by a planet, and then each decan is also subruled by a planet. You can think of the subruler as a shift manager. So the entire sign of Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and the middle 10 degrees of Scorpio are subruled by the sun. So you can think of this section of Scorpio to be Mars influenced and sun influenced. Like all of Scorpio is influenced by Mars, but this middle section is also very solar. So you could also interpret the Six of Cups as a Scorpio card. So you're going to think of Mars stuff, but you're also going to think of the sun primarily with this card. And you can think of this card to represent the sun in Scorpio, or just remembering that the sun and Scorpio together make up the meaning of this card. So it doesn't have to only represent the sun in Scorpio, but you do want to bring in your associations of what you think about of Scorpio and combine those with what you think about with the sun in order to really interpret this card more fully. So let's take a look at the Six of Cups. Generally, this picture shows two people on the front. There is one person that is handing another person a cup. And the cup is usually overflowing with something like flowers or gemstones or something like that. And there's 5 other cups around. It kind of gives a sense of a potluck or a lemonade stand, like someone is sharing something else that they have in abundance with a friend. So the key words and concepts that come up with the Six of Cups are sharing, nostalgia, innocence, memories, reflection, childhood, sentimentality, reunion, melancholy, emotional bonds, souvenirs, past connections, sweetness, recollection, gifts, and simple pleasures. The Six of Cups represents nostalgia, innocence, and emotional connections rooted in the past. So these two figures exchanging cups signifies a moment of reflection and recollection and recognition. It suggests a kind of return to simplicity and the sweetness of childhood or a sweeter time in life. It causes us to think back to these moments that we feel sentimental about. And this card underscores the value of these emotional bonds and the beauty found in times when we were innocent, times when we trusted people, times when we were open and sharing. So this card encourages people to embrace the warmth of your memories and recollections, possibly leading to reunions or the exchange of heartfelt gestures. Sharing your memories with other people, telling someone about a time when you felt happy or safe or something funny happened. When you're sharing a memory with someone, you're sharing an emotional bond, or you're letting them bond with you in an emotional way. This card can prompt a reconnection with the pure and uncomplicated aspects of life. And it invites a moment of reflection on the sweetness that is inherent in cherished memories and the meaningful connections that shape our life. Most of our happy memories involve other people. Not that you don't have happy memories when you were by yourself, but this card is more relating to the memories of your happy memories that are connected with other people, and sharing those memories with someone, having a shared memory with someone, having shared moments of sweetness. So let's talk a minute for just about the sun. The sun plays a central role in astrology, and it symbolizes creativity, vitality, and individuality. It represents our inner light and a spiritual fire, and it guides us on a journey of self-discovery and realization. The energy of the sun illuminates the darkness, bringing clarity and awareness to our lives. The sun's influence on our physical and spiritual well-being has been recognized by many ancient cultures. And the sun symbolizes not only the source of light and warmth for our physical world, but also our inner light and our spiritual fire. At a spiritual level, the sun represents the soul, which is the eternal and unchanging aspect of our being. So the sun in astrology signifies a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. The journey of the soul from the subconscious into consciousness. The sun's energy is considered projective, and it represents the active, assertive, and conscious parts of our psyche. It illuminates the darkness, bringing clarity and awareness to our lives. So if you look at the image of the Six of Cups, there is definitely a feeling of warmth, a feeling of clarity, a feeling of joy in this card that is very solar, very sun-like. There is something here about those sunny days in our childhood where we got lemonade from the lemonade stand and someone smiled at us so sweetly and we were just so innocent and so happy, and it's beautiful. And that is a very sun type of moment. But this is a Scorpio card, so what the heck? Because honestly, Scorpio has a reputation of being dark and moody. Many of the brighter or more positive aspects of Scorpio are often overlooked in today's pop astrology and memes. When people talk about astrology on TikTok and Instagram and places like that, they're usually not talking about it in the sense of a happy and delightful energy. They're talking about, the dark and moody energy. So what the heck? How is this a Scorpio card? Well, the sun brings brightness, warmth, and vitality to any sign that it visits, and Scorpio is no different. Scorpio relates to deep and intense emotions, but not all of our deep and intense emotions are negative. Scorpio relates to privacy and secret things, intimate things that we like to keep to ourselves. These are not all negative either. Some of our most private, secret, and intimate experiences are beautiful and happy moments. So the sun comes into Scorpio and it illuminates the depths. It shines a light on these otherwise hidden emotional experiences. And it highlights or illuminates all of the emotions. So that means the pleasant as well as the difficult. The sun's transit through Scorpio marks a time of significant spiritual growth and learning that is centered around transformation, resilience, and self-discovery. Every year when we go through Scorpio season, people call it shadow work season, but at the result of doing your shadow work is being transformed and being more resilient and having a clearer sense of self. Shadow work is when you take something, a part of yourself that is unseen, and you bring it into the light. So now it is not a subconscious thing, it is a conscious thing. So the sun is our consciousness, and it helps us bring the shadow into the light. And this is overall a positive experience, because when you know yourself, you become stronger, more resilient, and more able to deal with all of the emotions that you experience, the good and the bad, the difficult emotions and the overwhelmingly pleasant emotions. You have to be able to respond to those emotions appropriately. So you have to do your shadow work, right? So Scorpio is a water sign ruled by Mars, and water relates to the emotions, the intuition, the deep feelings, and it relates to our ability to change and go with the flow. So during this transit of the sun moving through Scorpio, people are encouraged to embrace the metaphorical cycle of death and rebirth and allow old parts of themselves to dissolve and make way for a renewed vitality and a renewed authenticity. Often during Scorpio season, we say, I'm letting go of this so that I can be the best me for the rest of this year, right? The spiritual journey during Sun in Scorpio involves courageously confronting your shadow aspects, and courage is a sun word. Fostering a deep understanding of the complexities within. You are not a simple being. Humans are complex, and it takes some courage to look at all of that complexity and shine a light on it and try to figure it out. So Scorpio season invites a process of shedding your illusions, embracing your vulnerability, and emerging from this cocoon where you've kind of protected yourself into emerging from that into a heightened sense of personal power And through that, we have profound connections to the unseen realms of the psyche, to our intuition, to our world of emotions. So, are you starting to see how this card is connected to the energy of the Sun in Scorpio? We have to be willing to look back on our memories, not just the bad ones, but the good ones too, and find that innocence, find that vulnerability from our childhood and reconnect with it, because that vulnerability is the key to us actually doing the deeper, heavier, scarier shadow work. We cannot do that shadow work without being vulnerable. And in order to be vulnerable, we need to remember what it is like to be vulnerable, as in when we were an innocent child. So our emotions are something that we only experience firsthand, but we can choose to share these rich experiences with others. When we allow shared emotional experiences, we can break free from Scorpio's defensive and protective Martian nature. Mars is very protective and defensive, right? We got to break free from that and allow some of this solar aspect of Scorpio to shine through. And we do that by sharing our emotional experiences with others. It takes trust and faith to be vulnerable in this way. But Scorpio is, after all, a water sign from which we learn to trust our instincts and our intuition. Our instincts and our intuition can tell us if it is safe to be vulnerable with this person. Is it safe to let them close to me on an emotional level? Your intuition will guide you in seeing what is hidden about yourself and about other people. And also, this reminds us that sometimes we have to act on faith to find what is hidden behind the surface. Sometimes we can't see. Sometimes our intuition does not tell us everything, and we have to decide to take a leap of faith to get close to someone first, and then find out what is hidden within them through connecting with them. Yes, sometimes this might result in pain. We always take that chance when we get close to someone, because eventually something happens. That person has to move away. The relationship reaches a natural conclusion. Someone dies. There's always the possibility that whatever bond we build with someone will eventually die. That bond will eventually break and end. So the vulnerability is in recognizing that it's valuable anyways, and we do it anyways, knowing that it does not last forever. But there's something valuable in that connection and in that sharing. So going back to the image on the Six of Cups and just looking at the person that is handing their overflowing cup to the expectant child or to the other person. And the other person is reaching out to take that overflowing cup and to hold it. Most of our profound emotional experiences are moments that we share with others. If you reflect on your happiest memories, they are likely to involve someone that you loved and trusted. Emotional moments with another person require both parties to be open and vulnerable. Emotions are a deeply personal and private part of us, but our lives are more fulfilling when we share our emotions with others. I really appreciate how this card can be seen to represent trick or treating, or the tradition of trick or treat, and how Halloween always falls during the time of year when the sun is in Scorpio. So it's just a delightful way of remembering this card and remembering that it's related to Scorpio and the sun in Scorpio. As you can see, the person handing the cup to the child, and if you can let that trigger a keyword in you of trick or treat. And most of us have like fond, nostalgic, and happy memories of trick or treat. We have a generally positive association of receiving candy from our neighbors when we were kids. It was fun, right? Might not always have been great every single year, but you get the point. It's a beautiful example of trust and vulnerability. We put on a costume and we go around and we knock on the doors of neighbors that we probably don't really talk to the rest of the year. And they open the door and they give us candy. Like, that's a beautiful example of trust and vulnerability and happy childhood memories that come from a place of trust and sharing. You put on a costume and you let them see you wearing your costume, and in exchange, they gave you some candy. And it's fun. It's beautiful, right? So this card also represents that childhood innocence. As children, we were more vulnerable because we're smaller, we're not as strong, we're not as big as the people around us, so we're automatically just more vulnerable. We're also emotionally more vulnerable. We are more trusting, and generally children are more open about sharing their emotions. However, as we grow older, we tend to become less trusting and less emotionally open, and we lock that part of us away. This card serves as a reminder that despite our past hurts, like with the previous card, the Five of Cups, the Five of Cups came right before this one. And that is a moment of grief and deep pain. And then after it comes the Six of Cups. We can still learn after pain to regain a sense of trust and to open ourselves emotionally to other people. And we can experience moments of joy again. So sometimes it is just through the simple pleasures, the simple moments of happiness. Watching the birds together, seeing a sunrise or a sunset together, smelling some beautiful flowers in a garden. These little, tender, simple moments can be just as transformative as the more challenging emotional trials of shadow work and grief and pain. We all know that the hard emotions transform us, but this card wants to remind you that the little moments of joy also transform you and shape you and make you who you are. So if you would like, I have some questions that you can use for journaling or for further self-exploration with this card. You could potentially even use these questions for divination if you used the Six of Cups as your signifier and then draw 6 cards, one for each of these following questions. You could make this a divination practice. So you can have a little bit of time. I'll give a little time. I will pause so that you can pause and write down the question if you want to. What am I currently feeling sentimental and nostalgic about? What are some of my happiest memories, and who do I share them with? What moments of happiness have changed me or transformed me in some way? Am I currently allowing myself to be open and vulnerable with others? In this moment, when I look at the Six of Cups, do I identify with the person that is giving the gift or the one that is receiving the gift? And what does that tell me about myself? What can I do in my current life to create more moments of simple pleasure and sharing joy with others? So, anytime that you draw this card, hopefully this has helped you be able to remember that this card is associated with the Sun and with the sign of Scorpio. There are astrological moments when this card is more relevant, and I would say that that is when the Sun is in Scorpio at any degree, so all through Scorpio season with the Sun in Scorpio. And if you were born with the Sun in Scorpio, this card represents a lot of your personal life experiences or your life lessons. There's something very potent about this card for you to embrace or learn in this lifetime. Then I would also find this card relevant when any other planet is moving through the second decan of Scorpio. So when any planet is moving between 10 degrees through the end of the 19th degree of Scorpio, then that planet is in the realm of this card. So in your birth chart, if you have any planets in this middle decan of Scorpio, then this card will hold relevance for your life based on what planet it is and what house it is in and all kinds of stuff. There's lots you can explore with how this card is relevant for you. At the time of recording this, the Sun is in Scorpio, and the planet Mars is in this middle section of Scorpio. And so we have a lot of energy with this card present and available for us right now if we will just tap into it and tune into it. So I hope you have enjoyed this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends. Share it in spaces where you think that people might enjoy it also. If you have people who are into tarot and astrology, share this link or let them know about this podcast also. You can always schedule a personal astrology reading with me at www.hestiasmuse.net. And if you want to support the work that I do in making these podcast episodes, then please consider joining my Patreon. And that is www.patreon.com/hestiasmuse. And on the Patreon, I also have a written version of these podcasts available for subscribers, as well as regular astrology updates, shadow work prompts, and all kinds of fun stuff. So come check it out, and your support is always so appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye!